Have you ever walked away from something and felt relief for exactly 3 days? Maybe a conversation, maybe a relationship, maybe a decision you said no to. That relief felt real. It felt like freedom. But then something strange happened. The thing you walked away from started creeping back into your mind. At first, it was just a whisper, a small thought. Maybe I was wrong. But the whisper grew louder and louder until one day you realized something terrifying. You are now obsessed with the exact thing you tried to escape. If that hit you, stay right here, because what I'm about to share will change the way you understand your own mind. And I promise you, if you watch until the end, you will walk away with something powerful. Not just an idea, but a shift. A moment where you stop running from your own thoughts and finally take back control. Let me ask you something. How many times have you avoided something, told yourself, I'm done with that, and then weeks later found yourself thinking about it at 2 a.m. when you cannot sleep? How many times has the thing you ran from become the thing you cannot stop thinking about? This is not a flaw in your character. This is not weakness. This is a psychological trap so precise, so deep, that almost every human being falls into it without even knowing. And today, we are going to expose it. Every part of it. You see, your brain is not designed to let go of unfinished things. It is designed to seek closure. It is designed to finish what it starts. When you avoid something, you do not close the chapter. You rip it out, and your brain sees that torn page everywhere, in your thoughts, in your dreams, in the quiet moments when you have nothing else to distract you. This is called the Zeigarnik effect. It is real. And it is the reason you feel like you cannot move on even when you thought you already did. Your brain keeps the wound open because you never gave it the resolution it needed. You did not face it. You did not finish it. You just ran. And running created a gap. And gaps in the human mind do not stay empty. They get filled with obsession. Think about it. Have you ever avoided telling someone how you felt? Maybe you convinced yourself it did not matter anymore. You moved on. You were fine. But then 3 months later, you cannot stop thinking about that conversation you never had, that text you never sent, that person you never told the truth. It is eating you alive, not because you want them back, but because your brain refuses to close a door you left wide open. That is the lie you told yourself. If I walk away, I am free. But freedom is not the same as closure. And your mind knows the difference even when you pretend you do not. Here is what nobody tells you. The moment you avoid something, you do not kill the desire. You freeze it. You put it in a box and bury it underground. And it stays there, growing, fermenting, becoming something much bigger than it ever was. Because the energy you did not use to face it has to go somewhere. And it goes into obsession. Every time you think, I should not be thinking about this, you think about it more. That is not weakness. That is how the human brain works. The more you fight a thought, the stronger it gets. The more you try to forget, the more you remember. The more you push something away, the more powerful it becomes in the shadows of your mind. So why does this happen to almost everyone? Why do we all fall into this trap? Because avoidance feels like victory in the short term. It gives you immediate relief. You do not have to face the discomfort. You do not have to have the hard conversation. You do not have to feel the pain of rejection or failure or vulnerability. You just walk, and for a moment you feel better. But that moment is a trap. It is a loan from your future peace. And the interest you pay is obsession, the thoughts that will haunt you, the what-ifs that will keep you up at night, the regrets that will shape every decision you make from that point forward. You told yourself a lie, and the lie was this: if I do not deal with it, it will go away. But it does not go away. It transforms. It becomes bigger. It becomes the thing you cannot stop thinking about even when you desperately want to. And that is exactly where we are going next, because understanding this is only the first step. And I need you to stay until the end, because what comes next is the most important part. I am going to show you the exact moment this obsession is born, the precise second your avoidance backfires, the moment most people miss completely and spend years stuck in their own heads because of it. You do not want to miss this. Trust me, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. And once you see it, you finally have the power to change it. So keep watching, because your mind is about to become your greatest ally instead of your worst enemy. And this is where that shift begins. Now that you see the trap, let us understand why your own brain sets it. Because once you know the mechanism, you cannot unknow it. And knowing is the first step to breaking free. Your brain has one primary job: survival, not happiness, not peace. survival. And survival means one thing above everything else: completeness. Your brain is wired to seek closure on every open loop, every unfinished conversation, every unresolved conflict, every sentence you never finished saying. Your brain treats all of it as a threat, not to your body, but to your sense of completeness. This is why when you avoid something, your brain does not relax. It escalates. Because avoidance sends a signal to your nervous system. The signal says, "This is dangerous, walk away," and your brain accepts that signal. But here's what it also does. It logs the threat as unresolved. And unresolved threats do not disappear. They escalate in the background. They grow. They multiply. This is the first layer of the betrayal. You think you are protecting yourself by walking away, but your brain reads that walk as a failure to complete. And incomplete things demand completion. That is not a choice. That is biology. Now let me show you exactly how this works. It is called cognitive dissonance. You make a decision to leave something behind. You tell yourself it is over. You try to convince yourself you made the right choice. But deep inside, a part of you knows the truth. You did not resolve it. You just abandoned it. And that gap between what you tell yourself and what you know creates a psychological tension. Your brain cannot handle that tension, so it does something genius and devastating. It keeps replaying the scenario, not to torture you, but to solve the equation you left unfinished. It runs the conversation you never had. It imagines the outcome you never faced. It keeps the door open because you never closed it properly. And this replay loop is where obsession is born, right there, in that gap between your decision and your truth. But it gets deeper, because there is another force at work: the Zeigarnik effect. This is one of the most powerful psychological principles that almost no one talks about. It states that your brain remembers unfinished tasks far better than completed ones. In fact, studies show that when you complete something, your brain files it away. But when you abandon something midway, your brain holds on to it with almost desperate intensity. You forget the emails you answered yesterday, but you cannot forget the conversation you walked out of 3 years ago. Why? Because your brain marked it as incomplete. And incomplete means unsafe. Unfinished things are threats in the language your brain speaks, and threats stay active. They stay alive. They stay loud. This is the exact moment most people miss. The moment you avoided, you did not end the thought process. You paused it, and paused thoughts do not disappear. They wait, they ferment, they grow roots in the quietest parts of your mind. And one day, when you are vulnerable, when you are alone, when your defenses are down, they resurface with 10 times the power you thought you escaped. That is why your obsession always feels bigger than the original thing, because the original thing was never finished. And what you are now obsessing over is not the reality. It is the unfinished ghost of that reality. It is your brain trying to complete a puzzle with missing pieces. And that puzzle drives you crazy because it can never be solved the way you left it. Here's what you need to understand. Your brain is not working against you. It is following its programming. It is trying to protect you from the discomfort of incompletion. But the protection mechanism is flawed, because it assumes that avoiding means surviving, when in reality, avoiding means the threat stays alive in your mind forever. This is the betrayal. Your brain sees your escape as courage. It sees your silence as victory, but it also sees the open wound underneath, and it will not let that wound heal until you face what created it. Every time you push the thought away, your brain interprets that as another avoidance, another failure to complete, another open loop demanding closure. And it responds by amplifying the thought, making it louder, more persistent, more consuming. That is why the more you try not to think about something, the more you think about it. You are not broken. You are not weak. Your brain is simply trying to finish what you never started. And until you give it the completion it needs, the obsession will never stop. It will only grow. But here is the truth that changes everything. You are not a victim of your brain. You never were. The same mechanism that creates your obsession is the mechanism that can destroy it. The power to complete is inside you. The ability to close the loop is yours. And the moment you stop running, the moment you turn around and face what you left behind, your brain finally gets what it has been begging for: resolution. And once you resolve it, the obsession dies. Not because you forgot it, but because you finished it. And finished things do not haunt you. They set you free. There is a moment, a precise, silent, devastating moment when avoidance stops being a shield and starts being a prison. Most people never see it. They feel its effects. They live inside its consequences, but they never identify the exact second it happened. And that is the reason they stay trapped. Today, I am going to show you that moment, not in theory, in truth, step by step, so you can recognize it in your own life and finally break the cycle that has been holding you hostage. Here is how it works. Avoidant obsession does not happen overnight. It follows a timeline, a 5-stage progression that almost every human being walks through without even knowing it. And once you see the map, you can see exactly where you are. And more importantly, you can see exactly where you need to go. Stage 1 starts quiet. It starts the moment you decide to walk away. You feel relief, immediate, genuine relief. Your chest opens, your breath deepens. You think, that is over, I can finally move on. And for a few hours or maybe a few days, you actually believe it. This is the lie of stage 1. The relief feels real because it is real, but it is temporary. And the reason it is temporary is simple. The relief is not resolution, it is distraction. You distracted yourself from the thing instead of finishing it, and your brain remembers the difference even when you do not. Then comes stage 2, the silence. The thing you avoided stops appearing in your daily thoughts. You go about your life. You function, you smile, you work, and you think, see, I am over it. But underneath the surface, your brain is processing. It is analyzing. It is running calculations in the background because you left an equation unsolved. This is the quiet before the storm. Your brain is building a case for why you need to go back, why you need to face it, why the avoidance was incomplete. This stage feels safe, but it is the foundation of everything that comes next. Stage 3 is where it shifts. This is the exact moment I want you to remember. This is where avoidance backfires. It happens when something triggers your memory. A sound, a smell, a place, a song, a face that looks like theirs, an anniversary you forgot, a song that played in the background of a moment you tried to forget, something small, something random, something that should not matter, but it does. And in that moment, the floodgates open. Everything you buried comes back. Every thought you suppressed returns. Every emotion you avoided resurfaces with the force of a tidal wave. This is the moment most people break because they thought they were over it. They thought they healed. They thought the chapter was closed. But one trigger, one small trigger, and suddenly they are back at the beginning, crying in their car, lying awake at 3 a.m., thinking about the thing they thought they escaped, and they do not understand why. Why now? Why this? Why am I falling apart when I already moved on? That is the question that haunts stage 3. And the answer is devastating. You never moved on. You only paused the pain. And your brain is now demanding the completion it has been waiting for. Stage 4 is where most people make the critical mistake. They try to push it down again. They see the wave coming and they run. They put the thought in a box again. They tell themselves to get over it. They distract themselves. They numb themselves. They fill their schedules, so they never have to be alone with the thought. And for a while, it works. But the pain does not disappear. It hides, it grows, it waits for the next trigger, and the next trigger comes faster and harder, because every time you avoid it again, you teach your brain that it is dangerous. And dangerous things get louder. They get more persistent. They get more consuming. This is where obsession becomes real. Not just a thought that comes and goes, but a constant presence, a weight on your chest, a voice in your head that never stops. You think about it when you wake up. You think about it when you try to sleep. You think about it at work. You think about it in the shower. It follows you everywhere, and you do not know how to make it stop, because the more you fight it, the stronger it gets. That is stage 5, the obsession stage, the place where the thing you ran from is now the only thing you can think about. The relationship you left haunts you. The conversation you avoided replays in your head every day. The opportunity you walked away from consumes every decision you make after. You are not living your life anymore. You are living in the ghost of the thing you never finished, and the irony is unbearable. The very thing you escaped has become the thing that controls you. This is the exact moment, not the moment you walked away, but the moment you chose to avoid instead of face. That single decision, that one instant where you decided to run instead of finish, that is where the timeline began, and that is where it can end. But here is what separates the people who stay stuck from the people who break free. The people who stay stuck never look back at this moment. They keep running, they keep numbing, they keep distracting, they keep pretending they are fine while slowly dying inside from the obsession they created. They live their entire lives in stage 5, haunted, trapped. Unable to move forward because every step forward is shadowed by the thing they never finished. But the people who break free do something different. They turn around. They go back to that exact moment. They face what they ran from. They finish what they started. They give their brain the resolution it has been screaming for. And the moment they do, something incredible happens. The obsession dies. Not slowly, not gradually, instantly, like a switch being flipped, like a weight being lifted, like a door finally closing after being left open for years. That is the moment you have been waiting for, and that is exactly what we are going to talk about next, because understanding the timeline is power. But using that understanding to transform your life is freedom, and freedom is waiting for you on the other side of the thing you have been avoiding. You have seen the trap. You have understood the science. You have mapped the timeline. Now the question becomes simple. What do you do with that knowledge? Do you stay stuck in stage 5 forever? Do you keep running from the thing that follows you everywhere? Or do you finally turn around and end this? Here is the truth that will set you free. The obsession you are carrying is not proof that you want that thing back. It is proof that you never finished with it. And there is a massive difference between those two things. You are not obsessed because you miss someone or something. You are obsessed because your brain refuses to close a door you left open. And that obsession will follow you until you close it, not by running, but by facing. The first thing you need to understand is this. Avoidance is not cowardice. It is fear wearing the mask of wisdom. It tells you, this is too dangerous. Walk away. You will be fine. And you believe it because the relief feels real. But relief is not the same as healing. Distraction is not the same as resolution. And the moment you learn to tell the difference, you gain the power to stop running and start finishing. Every time you feel the urge to avoid something difficult, do not treat it as a signal to stop. Treat it as a signal to move, because the thing you are avoiding is not the enemy. The avoidance itself is the enemy. It creates the wound that never heals. It builds the obsession that never stops. It keeps you trapped in a cycle you cannot escape because you keep feeding it every single time you walk away. The moment you change that pattern, everything shifts. When you feel the urge to run, you pause, you breathe. You ask yourself one question. What am I avoiding and why? Do not judge the answer. Do not run from it. Just see it. Because awareness is the first step to transformation. The moment you name the thing you are running from, you take away its power. You turn it from a ghost into a target. And targets can be hit. Now comes the hardest part, the actual facing. You have to go back. Not to the person or the situation or the opportunity. You have to go back to yourself. To the version of you that decided to run, and you have to ask that version why. Why did you walk away? What were you afraid of? What would have happened if you stayed? Be honest with yourself. Brutally honest, because that honesty is where the healing begins. When you face the thing you avoided, something incredible happens. The obsession loses its fuel. It stops growing. It starts shrinking because you finally gave your brain what it needed. Completion, not comfort, not distraction, completion. And completion is the only thing that ever truly ends a chapter in your mind. This is not about getting back what you lost. This is not about changing what happened. This is about closing the loop so you can finally move forward. You do not need the person you never called back. You do not need the conversation you never had. You do not need the opportunity you walked away from. What you need is to finish the thought. To say what you never said, to face what you never faced, and to give yourself the resolution your brain has been demanding for months or years. When you do that, the obsession dies. It does not die because you willed it away. It dies because it finally has nothing left to chase. The door is closed, the loop is finished, your brain can finally relax, and the relief you feel is not temporary like before. It is permanent. It is real because it is built on completion, not distraction. You are not the person who runs anymore. You are the person who finishes. That is the transformation. That is the shift. You stop being defined by the things you walked away from and start being defined by the things you had the courage to face. And that identity change is everything. Because the next time something difficult appears on your path, you will not run. You will not avoid. You will walk straight toward it, knowing that the only way out is through. This is your power. This is your freedom. This is the moment you stop being a prisoner of your own avoidance and become the architect of your own resolution. The obsession ends here. The cycle breaks here. Your life begins again here. Not when the pain disappears, but when you have the strength to face it instead of running from it. You have been carrying this weight for too long. You have been haunted by the ghost of the thing you never finished. You have been running in circles while the obsession grows louder every single day. That ends today. Not because you found a way to forget, but because you found the courage to finish. Go back, face it, close it, and walk into the life that has been waiting for you on the other side of the thing you were too afraid to face. Because that life is real, it is waiting, and it is yours the moment you stop running.